China's top officials urge local authorities to do everything they can to help companies resume production, but a new survey found many companies are struggling. Homeless in the city but aren't allowed to leave, a look inside the struggle of people stuck in Wuhan, China's coronavirus outbreak epicenter. And on top of the coronavirus outbreak, China could face an invasion of desert locusts, which have been decimating crops in several East African countries. The Chinese regime is spreading coronavirus rumors overseas, this time to scare people from a world-class American dance show it doesn't want you to see.
Welcome to China in Focus. I'm your host, Tiffany Meyer. China's top officials urged local authorities to do everything they can to help companies resume production. Employees in Beijing and Shanghai slowly trickled back to work. More companies are restarting their businesses, and coronavirus travel restrictions are easing in China, but not all employees are willing to go back to work. A survey of 577 companies in China conducted by the European Union Chamber of Commerce and the German Chamber of Commerce found almost half of the companies reported staff shortages, and almost a third are struggling with compliance requirements. According to our source in China, most of the companies that resumed work are those closely related to basic necessities, such as food and medicine. As to the real estate branch, only very few companies have resumed work. So who takes on the responsibility of the health of the employees? One Chinese businessman told our reporter many factories in China hired workers as short-term workers, although they work there long-term. These factories want to avoid taking responsibility for the rights of the workers. And under the risk of being infected with the coronavirus at the workplace, the employees have to rely on themselves. And a battle against the coronavirus and joining the Chinese Communist Party. Is there a connection between the two issues? According to Chinese state-run media, until March 2nd, almost 10,000 people joined the Chinese Communist Party at the front line of the battle of the coronavirus across China. Among them are about 5,000 medical staff, over 1,500 policemen, and over 800 community guards. According to state-run media, many selfless contributions by the medical staff were due to their steady belief in the Communist Party. So what does the ceremony of joining the Communist Party look like? What do they say? Let's watch a video published by Chinese state-run media.
执行党的决定，执行党的决定，严守党的纪律，严守党的纪律，保守党的秘密，保守党的秘密。
A netizen referred to the part of the oath about giving up everything for the party, even sacrificing yourself. This netizen wrote, "Everything is dedicated to the party, including life. So what else can't be done?" In other words, if the party asks the party members to lie or even sell their souls, the party members cannot disobey. This vow proves that the Communist Party really fits the characteristics of a cult. Another netizen referred to the part about keeping the party secrets. She wrote, "What kind of secret needs doctors to join the party at the front line and to keep their vows to it? Recipes for treating the coronavirus, techniques for lung transplantation, the origin of the virus, or the number of deaths?" The one who led the initiation ceremony in this video aroused attention of netizens. Zhong Nanshan is the expert who first announced on January 20th about human-to-human transmission in China. His title is the leader of the high-level expert group of the National Health Commission. During the coronavirus outbreak, he has been seen by many people as the most important expert in China. The question is, if he is always ready to give everything to the party, how can one know if he is telling the truth or just what the party tells him to say? Now to the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, Wuhan. A Dr. Mei Zhongming, who worked in the same team as the whistleblower doctor Li Wenliang, has also died from the coronavirus. He died on Tuesday. That's according to a statement from the Wuhan Central Hospital. He's the third doctor to die as a result of the coronavirus in this hospital. And an op-ed titled "Some Countries Slow to Respond to Virus," published on February 23rd in the English version of Global Times, which belongs to the Chinese state-run People's Daily, highlights how quickly the situation worsened in Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. The author points out it took only a few weeks from people realizing the severity of the epidemic to the situation in which the virus spread in an uncontrollable way. As we previously reported, experts have pointed out the reason it took a few weeks for people to realize the severity was because of the lack of transparency from Chinese officials about the situation inside China. The article also points out how other countries such as Japan, South Korea, Iran, and Italy were hit hard by the outbreak, and delved into how lucky the Chinese model was and that other countries should copy it. Several Chinese netizens disagreed with the statement, saying it's an arrogant distortion and lacks reflection. A blogger named Hannah in the Basement wrote, "With increasing feelings of superiority, pride can be dug out in any event. That sense of superiority can befuddle one's mind, and naturally, while criticizing the other country's overly preventative measures like suspending flights, while at the same time yelling at other countries to copy large-scale quarantine operations. In this mindset, they cannot see the obvious contradictions in the two statements." This suspending flights refers to the U.S., which was the first country to suspend flights to and from China, which China has criticized the U.S. for. And a netizen questioned why other countries would copy China, writing on Twitter, "Copy, conceal the plague, eliminate the evidence right away?" The battle against the coronavirus is by far not over yet. Another threat could be on its way to China. The country could face an invasion of desert locusts. Chinese authorities warn locust swarms could enter the Tibet region from Pakistan and India, or the southwestern province of Yunnan through Myanmar, depending on climate conditions. Swarms could also fly across Kazakhstan and into China's Xinjiang region. The desert locusts have already ravaged crops and pastures in several countries in East Africa, and swarms have spread into India and Pakistan. The UN's Food and Agricultural Organization said a single square kilometer, almost 250-acre swarm of locusts can eat as much food in a day as 35,000 people, and warned last month if left unchecked, the number of locusts in East Africa could explode by 500 times by June. It's now over 40 days since Wuhan has been put under lockdown, and for some people stuck at the center of China's coronavirus outbreak, life is becoming hard to sustain. NTD's Juliet Song reports.
They came to Wuhan to seek medical treatment, and now they're homeless, living on the streets in the city under lockdown. That's according to this video circulating online.
那现在怎么吃呢？现在怎么吃饭每天？捡饭吃啊？你们捡饭吃啊？
The video shows an interaction with a couple while crossing the Yangtze River Bridge in Wuhan. According to the video, the wife has chronic tuberculosis and has been unemployed for years. Her husband had work in a nearby city. They are stranded in Wuhan. They said they sought help from the local community, but were denied help. And they're not the only ones who are struggling. In a video published on Pair Video, a Chinese digital news platform, a man whose surname is Wang said he lost his job after being trapped in Wuhan.
也没有了，工作也没了，贷款也没还，不晓得啥时候才能出去啊。
On WeChat, China's Twitter-like social media platform, a group with 500 members share their experiences of being stuck in Wuhan. Some have lost their jobs, others risk losing their businesses, like Aiyuan, who owns a small advertising company. Rental costs plus home and car loans add up to over $14,000 per month, 16 times the monthly salary in Wuhan. He said if the lockdown continues for another month, he will have to sell his house to survive. Prices of daily supplies also went up. After authorities tightened control measures, Wuhan residents are not allowed to go out to buy food. They can only order grocery items in groups and get them delivered to their door at a price several times what they used to pay. Reporting by Juliet Song, NTD News.
The Chinese regime is apparently capitalizing on the coronavirus to spread rumors in the United States. Rumors designed to scare people away from watching a dance company.
Recently, the New York-based classical Chinese dance company Shen Yun found itself the target of rumors about the coronavirus. The rumors claim Shen Yun performers are infected with the virus and advise people not to go see the show. Health authorities in Utah, where Shen Yun performed last week, told the Epoch Times that they were aware of misinformed rumors. Officials posted on Facebook and Twitter that the performances pose no risks to Utah residents, and that Shen Yun is based in New York City, not China. In a press release, the company said that in fact Shen Yun is not even allowed to perform in China.
It takes a mind.
That's because performers are effectively banned from China the moment they join the company. Shen Yun was founded by practitioners of Falun Gong, a spiritual movement that's severely persecuted in China. On stage, the show depicts 5,000 years of Chinese culture. The Chinese Communist Party has attempted to destroy that culture through one political movement after another. The show also depicts scenes of persecution from modern-day China. Since Shen Yun was founded in 2006, Chinese agents have tried to sabotage the company. Tour bus tires have been slashed, performers' family members in China are harassed by police, and wherever the company performs around the world, the local Chinese embassy often pressures the theater to cancel the show or makes anonymous calls bad-mouthing the company. This time, local health officials in Utah say they've received phone calls allegedly from people worried about the rumors. Shen Yun's ticketing office has as well. Shen Yun MC Li Shai Lamesh told the Epoch Times that what's interesting about the callers is that many have strong Chinese accents and some quickly become aggressive. Shen Yun will return to Salt Lake City on March 21st for another 4 shows.
We loved it as an audience.
China, it would be nice if they were a little more open to seeing this kind of thing.
Reporting by Penny Zhou, NTD News.
The U.S. coronavirus death toll has climbed to 9, but health officials are highlighting a positive note today, saying that the time between identifying the coronavirus and the first medical safety trial is among the fastest ever.
Sitting beside President Trump, health officials from the National Institutes of Health showed a presentation comparing research and development for coronavirus treatment compared to other viral outbreaks. NIH's Dr. Anthony Fauci explained that from the time the coronavirus was found to the time a phase 1 treatment trial was conducted, it was a dramatically faster response than for previous viruses. He said in 2003 it took 20 months from the time SARS appeared to conduct the first phase 1 trial. That number dropped to 11 months for the bird flu and went down further to 3.25 months for the Zika virus.
And now we believe, as I've told you several times, it's 2 to 3 months. I think it's going to be 2.
The briefing was part of the president's visit to the NIH in Maryland. During his visit, he also toured the agency's Vaccine Research Center and Viral Pathogenesis Lab. Hours before the roundtable briefing, President Trump explained that the virus task force has already met health officials in 30 states and is holding daily briefings with governors.
It just shows you what can happen. 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, you never heard of this. All of a sudden, it's got the world aflutter. But it'll work out.
As U.S. preparations continue, a Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson told the Epoch Times on Monday that the U.S. has maintained a stockpile of ventilators since 2001. The machines, which move oxygen in and out of the lungs, are a major treatment option for patients with severe infections.
White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham announced on Twitter that President Trump is donating his 4th quarter salary to support efforts to confront, contain, and combat coronavirus. And the largest transit system in North America is wiping down its trains in response to the coronavirus. Despite the low risk in New York, the MTA said it's doing whatever it can to keep its riders safe. NTD's Miguel Moreno has more from Manhattan.
So far, 2 cases of the novel coronavirus have been confirmed in New York. And although the risk of infection here is low, the MTA is giving its subway stations, trains, and buses a good cleaning daily.
And we think it will do 2 things. It will decrease the presence of viruses, both the COVID-19 and others, on our facilities, but it will also give passengers, our customers, a sense that we're doing everything we can.
Already, 427 subway stations have been cleaned up, and they're on their way to disinfect 5,700 buses and more. MTA officials added that there doesn't appear to be any changes in ridership amid news of the virus and that people should carry on with their lives. Outside, a few people said they're not worried, but the sanitation efforts wouldn't hurt.
Really, it couldn't hurt. If you're asking me if I'm concerned about it, I'm not really that concerned about the coronavirus.
The mindfulness, taking some type of initiative, like my friend said, is a good step, but I don't think it's a cure-all.
This gentleman with a mask on said he wasn't taking any chances and that the MTA's plan would help a bit.
It will help a little, just a little.
The MTA will also make periodic announcements in its subways, giving its customers basic suggestions on how to avoid spreading it. The chairman said all frequently used surfaces would be sanitized every 3 days. Miguel Moreno, NTD News, New York.
The CDC is working to slow the spread of the coronavirus in the U.S. with aggressive containment and mitigation efforts. This after 9 people have died from the virus in the U.S., all in Washington state. A director at the NIH recommends washing your hands, avoiding people who are coughing and sneezing, and staying out of work if you are infected.
Into the record.
The CDC taking aggressive action in containment and mitigation efforts to slow the spread of the coronavirus. The FDA closely monitoring the medical supply chain and reporting that one manufacturer has a drug shortage related to a site affected by the virus.
The good news about that is that we are working very closely with that manufacturer, and we expect that to be resolved in a very short period of time. The other good news is that there are alternatives to that drug that are available to providers and patients.
We have a lot more Congress working on a bipartisan agreement to reimburse state and local health officials combating the virus. California, Oregon, and Washington all reporting cases of community spread, which means there is a cluster of outbreaks without knowing the original source.
While the immediate risk to the general American public remains low, and the U.S. government's doing everything we can to keep it low, risk varies by exposure, and some areas of the country are now experiencing community spread.
Although the virus is spreading in some communities, NIH Director Dr. Fauci saying it's not necessary for everyone in the U.S. to wear a mask.
Because right now there isn't anything going around in the community, certainly not coronavirus, that is calling for the broad use of masks.
Telemedicine stocks have surged in the past week as it allows doctors to diagnose patients remotely. Secretary for Preparedness saying it can play a role in telling which people infected by the virus need hospital care, which could keep emergency rooms available only for the sickest patients.
Another mode of transportation joined airlines in making policy changes to deal with the coronavirus outbreak. Amtrak announced on its website it is now waiving change fees on travel reservations. It points to customers concerned about the virus. In its notice, the railroad service says it is not facing any current travel restrictions because of the outbreak, but understands its customers may have concerns. For now, the waiver applies to tickets purchased by April 30th. Amtrak says it will continue to monitor the coronavirus situation closely and adjust the policy as necessary. French authorities say the spread of the coronavirus is speeding up in France, with 61 new cases of infection since the beginning of the week. Our France correspondent, David Vives, gives us the latest updates.
France is the second most affected country in Europe by coronavirus, after Italy. Just over 200 people tested positive so far, and more than 60 of them since the beginning of the week.
In France, we are in phase 2 with a very clear objective, which is to prevent the propagation of the virus in the national territory.
The Louvre Museum welcomes an average of 26,000 people every day from across the world, and it remains closed since Sunday. Other events, like soccer games, have been cancelled.
The French government says hospitals are well prepared and have the capacity to handle all the infected people. But new instructions from health authorities say that people infected should stay home unless their case is serious. Recently, indoor gatherings of more than 5,000 people have been cancelled. French officials have closed more than 120 schools in the areas most affected by the virus. 44,000 children and college students have been sent back home.
Health authorities are investigating each infected person and who they have been in contact with to contain the spread of the virus. This is a colossal task, as one person may have been in contact with over 100 people, and health authorities need to warn each one of them to stay cautious, to check their temperature, and if they show symptoms, maybe stay home or go to the hospital. David Vives, NTD News.
And more on the coronavirus in Europe. Following Italy, Germany has the highest number of infections on the continent, with nearly 190 cases. Almost all states in Europe's biggest economy are affected. NTD's Germany correspondent Christian Watson has more on this.
Today, coronavirus infections have reached almost all of Germany's 16 states, with only 3 of them without any cases. According to Germany's Center for Disease Control, the Robert Koch Institute, a total of 196 cases are now confirmed. More than half of them are in the western state of North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany's most populous state. German Health Minister Jens Spahn said on Monday it's up to local authorities whether they decide to cancel large events due to the spread of the coronavirus.
I've been reading that the federal minister is the one to request large events to be canceled, but the Infection Protection Act says the decision is in the hands of local authorities.
In recent days, several events in Germany have been canceled, including the ITB Tourism Fair in Berlin, as well as a major book fair in Leipzig. In Western Germany, as well as Berlin, several schools and daycare centers have closed, some for weeks after staff members tested positive.
Here at the charity hospital, the first coronavirus patient in Berlin is being treated in isolation. The hospital has set up a pandemic response plan, prepare for the worst case scenario.
He had completely different symptoms that did not point to coronavirus, but according to our double diagnosis testing all patients for the past week, we discovered it.
Some experts have criticized the hospital authorities for the handling of the case. Due to his unusual symptoms, hospital staff initially focused on neurological tests and sent the man home soon after. Only when the coronavirus test came out positive did they put him in isolation.
Tokyo's Olympic 2020 organizers say its contract would allow it to put off the Games until the end of the year, while the International Olympic Committee continues to prepare for the event.
Potential disruption to this summer's Olympic Games in Tokyo amid concerns over the coronavirus continues to be discussed in Japan, with lawmakers examining the terms of the contract with the International Olympic Committee. Current terms state that a postponement can be allowed until the end of the year, with Japan's Olympics ministers saying on Tuesday they are looking into various possibilities.
It only says if the Games are not to be held within 2020. It depends on how this is interpreted, but it can be read as allowing a postponement within 2020.
However, Japan's government and host city were still committed to hosting the Games, due to begin on July 24th. And under the hosting agreement, it was still made clear the right to cancel the Games belongs to the IOC.
We all are healthy and looking forward to the meeting.
Head of that organisation, Thomas Bach, stressed on Tuesday that preparations were still underway for a successful Games in Tokyo. Any halt to the Games would be costly. The latest budget is $12.5 billion, with Japan's government already providing funds to build the Olympic Stadium and contributing towards the cost of the 2020 Paralympics. To curb the spread of the virus, Japan's government has asked schools to close and encourage the curtailment of events that could attract large crowds, including last week's Tokyo Marathon.
China in Focus, we bring you first-hand information from inside China. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates.